Yes, master. Of course, bury the bodies in the yard. In the backyard, of course.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Mike, we titled today's episode, what did we title it? Pre-training camp roster predictions. Because, you know what? I looked around at other podcasts. I looked around at other Red Wings YouTube channels, and honestly, it's just a bunch of the same old rigmarole of, what do we get from the IIHF World Juniors, and who's off the roster, and it's like, who are we trading, and those
Was Kosa a mistake?
conversations.
Was Kosa a mistake?
Mike, how could he be a mistake when he's holding up a championship?
Yeah.
Casey McIntyre. Casey, what's going on? Did you guys watch The Word on Woodward with Ville Husso today? I didn't, but YouTube wanted to let me know that happened. Matt finally closed on his house today. So Matt was very busy today. Had to get through my day of work,
pen to paper,
kiddos, feed the kiddos, and sat down for an hour and a half signing my name over and over. I forgot what it felt like to do a K at one point. I just started realizing it was just like a squiggly line, and
it loses all meaning.
Yeah. So Casey, let us know any hot topics coming out of the Husso conversation. Chewy watched. He said, "Hey guys," and then he let us know he watched. Richard, he played one game. Oh, that's right. Talking about Kosa on this one. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, I think that's my next slide here. We can just kind of quickly run through this a little bit because I think we went pretty hard. And I have one hot take for the IIHF World Junior, and I'll get to that in a
if
second.
it involves Sebastian Kosa, man, so help me.
It doesn't. So Kosa ends up with that one game that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Edvinsson,
not ideal.
Of course, had a hurt tummy. Niederbach ends up having that 3-point game and winds up with 4 points through the whole tournament. Wallander, you know what? I don't hate the 3 assists. Don't hate it. Vero with a pretty nifty, or I shouldn't say nifty, I should say timely assist. And of course, helping Finland get the silver there. And Carter Mazer. No. What do we want to say? I was going to say jewelry, and I stopped. What would we actually say? No shiny things being hung around his neck, despite the 5 goals and 2 assists. Red Savage, 2 goals and an assist. And you know what? Mike Jan was there too. How about that?
It's what we call a participation award.
Good old
that's what Jan got. So I don't know if you look at these stats and you think, my God, we got to trade Edvinsson while his value's still high. He cratered at the IIHF. It's all over for him. It's all over for Kosa. Iser plan is over. What are we doing? No, we're going to operate in the realm of logic and order. Those games don't really mean anything. So he's still going to make the team.
Yeah. This is the fun part right here. Sabrango, Kosa holding up a cute little trophy that looks like a Rocket Mortgage logo with a bowl in the middle of it. It's really cute. And that's the fun part. Kosa was so happy. You didn't see Kosa on the ice posing with that trophy going, home. No, his whole team with Canada won a championship. That's the fun part. That's where I want to keep at least everybody's mindset for this, because I did see some of our rival podcasts. Some of those rival podcasts that get a full night at Little Caesars Arena, and then we're supposed to compete with that somehow.
I just love those jerseys
complaining.
too.
They were complaining about Edvinsson, and I'm just like, let's bump the brakes there, ladies and gentlemen. He had a hurt tum, and
he literally had diarrhea the whole tournament. What do you want from him?
I know. Let's again. Even for Jan Bednash, I'm fine. Like, it's a goaltender, right? I mean, we talk about 5 years on those guys anyway. So there's nothing to get. I don't want anybody to get too excited. I don't want anybody to get too down. I just want you to celebrate this. And of course, again, anybody on the podcast, we're just showing off the pictures of Kosa and Sabrango holding up their cute little Rocket Mortgage trophy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we got through this tournament and we thought, well, we were wrong on Edvinsson, but looks like Red Savage is going to be on the first line. No, right. Those are your two wild leaps. I still think Edvinsson is going to be a lot better than Red Savage. No offense to Red Savage, just that Edvinsson's really good at hockey and he had diarrhea for a week. So I don't think that that's fair to knock him down a whole peg and dedicate, entire podcast episodes to Yzerman missing on a pick, let alone 2 picks if you throw in Kosa.
Now, we are going to move on to the next topic. I'm going to run through this real quick because, I got to point it out. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you notice the overlay is a little different because, Mike, we got a new sponsor for the show. That's right.
Oh,
Raycon Earbuds. Mike, they've got that everyday earbud look and feel that you want, and the sound's better than ever. Optimized gel ear tips, 8 hours of playtime with a 32-hour battery life, half the price of some of those other premium auto brands out there, Mike. We'd mention them, but that's not good marketing for Raycon.
Nope. You don't say Burger King during a McDonald's ad.
It's go to buyraycon.com/THPN. You've got to put in that /THPN in there to make sure you're helping out your boys here. I'm excited, Mike, because we're going to get some testers, and all I ever hear are how amazing those Raycons are. So I'm really excited, and we'll let you guys know once we get those. But, Mike, this was free. Raycon's not paying us yet, but I'm just so excited that Raycon's aboard that I was like, nope, I'm going to shout it out from a mountaintop today. But, yeah. Thank you, Raycon, for coming aboard Red Wings Rant. I really appreciate it. And, this is an awkward transition, so moving on. Getzel says, congratulations on the new spot. Honestly, Getzel, I guarantee, like, I don't do this often, but I couldn't be more excited for this. And let's just not talk about the other sponsor. We'll tell them when to listen to the show. Don't worry. We send them a piece of paper so we can kind of have this conversation. But I could not be more excited for you guys to have something that I'm excited about. So it's one of those things. Like, you want to be choosy when your show's getting these opportunities. And
I'll say one sponsor, I think of the 3 is probably, pretty popular. But they didn't give us free stuff. So 2 sponsors ago, I was really excited to escape my manhood. And now I'm really excited to listen to myself on Spotify with my new Raycons. So pretty excited.
Now, we'll go back. I'm going to scroll back here to Craig McDonald. Actually, before we get to Craig here, Jim thrown out there, art was being art. So I was just sold on not watching this. So thank you so much, Jim. Craig said he watched the Billy Husso thing. This wasn't planned. We weren't going to talk about this, but we got the question. Seems like he's excited to come. And I got to say, to roll this into our conversation of let's build a pre-training camp roster with some of the guys who aren't on the cap-friendly depth chart necessarily. I would say we don't need to look at our goaltenders, right? We've got Billy Husso, who's excited to be here, and Ned, our boy, who, when he was playing great, this is so hard to talk about because it's such a objective, like, it's totally taking out the data and analytics when analyzing Ned's play, but it is 100%. Like, you could see a completely different goaltender out there when he was, when you're having a good game and your save percentage is 960 compared to like 650, clearly there's going to be something about your attitude that changes, and you could see that easily. But what I'm talking about is how he attacks the puck when he's having good games. And I think that's going to come down to repetition and goaltending and getting those opportunities to extend his season. Where last year he played the most games of his career in 1 year. So that being said, that has nothing to do with, I still think Husso's our starter at the beginning of the year, but I think like last year we talked about what are the percentages going to be for Grice and Ned. This year, I really think it's going to be like 55-45. If we're going to give the nod one way or the other to a starter, I think it's going to be 55% for the starter, 45% for our backup. And that I'll just say it's not really a hot take, but Ned backup.
Well, I mean, Grice was so bad. It never. I don't think that Nedeljkovic really got a physical or mental rest. We talked about it quite a few times with Blash. Trying to give Nedeljkovic, a night off if he had a bad period. Hey, we're going to pull you. So you put in Grice. Grice gives him 5 goals on 5 shots. Okay, well, we're going to pull you. Oh, the other option is Nedeljkovic. Okay, so you know how we were going to give you a break tonight? We did give you a break. It was not as long as you wanted. It was the second period. You're back for the third. How do you feel? So, I mean, that wasn't a one-off anomaly.
Shorter than that?
It wasn't a one-off anomaly. There were multiple games where that happened. You're absolutely right that it was shorter than that. So I don't think that that's going to be the case with Husso. I think we, will legitimately be able to, kind of play the hot hand instead of playing the, less tired hand, which is what it seemed like Nedeljkovic had, in the second half of the season. So, yeah, as far as giving that guy an extra gear and making him feel like when you have a night off, you actually have a night off to mentally recover, I think we're going to have that this season. So it looks like it's just going to benefit all parties.
Well, I want to jump into, I guess we could take a look at the forwards first. And the way that we wanted to kind of play this game is we're going to list off, and of course we have to do this for the podcast listeners. We're going to list off what CapFriendly had listed for our depth chart, because we've gone over this a couple of times, but we're going to look at scratches, and we're going to look at our minors, who's got a contract, and then we're going to look at some guys who are on loan, and we'll kind of make some assessment looking at these. Are these guys going to get their opportunity? Because some of the guys that are listed as on loan actually are in North America right now, and we'll get a shot to either be in Detroit or Grand Rapids. So we're going to go through those lists and kind of pick and choose here, like who's going to get an opportunity to jump on this list you see now. So for the YouTube viewers, what you're seeing, and I'll see some of you guys are putting lists together, so we'll go through those in just a second. But on CapFriendly here, Bert, Larkin, Raymond. Easy peasy first line. Even if that were to change, I think this is one where those three guys, I mean, there's no question here. We're just talking about movement trade-wise for anything to really, I don't know. How do I want to, what's the term here? I was going to say ruffle feathers, but it's just not, that doesn't make any sense. For any of these three guys, for this to change, I think by just the start of training camp, something huge would have to happen. Line 2, this just works out for like where guys were the year prior and based on what else is in the field of talent. It's hard to argue, but we're talking line 2, Verana, Andrew Kopp, David Perron. Boom. It works.
I feel like with CapFriendly putting that out there, there's also a consensus where if you kind of follow this team and you kind of follow this league, I feel like you'd kind of be pretty on board with all so far 1 through 6 what you've done.
Line 3, Kubalik, Suter, Philip Zadina. Again,
man, that is the box of chocolates line if I ever saw one. I don't know what I'm gonna get.
And then line 4, Adam Ernie, Michael Rasmussen, and Oscar Sundqvist. That's where.
Well, that one's also the box of chocolates, but it's more along the lines of the Jim Gaffigan bit where he took a bite of the chocolate. He's like, I got the one filled with toothpaste.
Exactly.
Oh.
It's just like, here we go. Like the top 9, and this is where this conversation can finally have some actual substance. If it works. I mean, this is something with all these guys, like you see the new contracts, it would make sense that all of these guys have this sort of position. And even Zadina without a contract, you would assume he would fit somewhere in the top 9 if he does eventually get one. But I think there's room for some of these guys in the top 9 to hit that 4th line. And I think there's some opportunities for some of the guys who are not on this list right now to crash that 4th line, kick off some of these guys, and crack the middle 6. And we're going to take a look at that. Like I said, actual substance, there was a little bit there. Was it like a groundbreaking hot take? Absolutely not. Keep rolling through here. Your top pairing, Ben Sherratt, Mo Seider. Pairing number 2, Olli Maatta, Philip Hronek. I think this is lining up too with like when these signings happened, everything that we said and put together. Third pairing though, Osterley and Gustav Lindstrom. We were super high on Lindstrom the first half of the season. He certainly tailed off, but it would be pretty easy, Mike, to go through this list of who's got a 1-year contract, who's been on loan, and how many of those guys could actually fit in that third pairing. Also taking the conversation to that point of who could knock off some of these names as well.
These are some terrifying pairings. I could almost make the case that I would replace 5 of them. Even after the big offseason we had, I could still see a scenario where 5 of them are gone.
I think that's one thing I want to get people ready for is like to put that number out there, the 5, that is super accurate. I think we certainly improved, but we had a horrible defense last year, and it was going to be fairly easy to improve it. That isn't to say like I hate any of these guys right now. Like there's not like a, oh my God, I can't believe this guy. You know, we don't actually have anything from Lalonde yet, but I can't believe CapFriendly would put this guy in the second pairing. Like there's none of those feelings yet, but I think it's still pretty fair looking at this list. Like we've seen Ben Sherratt ruin a defensive pairing. We saw that for most of the year with Montreal. So to like finishing with, we're talking about another left side defenseman, like finishing with Danny DeKeyser looking analytics and numbers. So I know Sherratt brings the big body. I know that would be the first argument to say, well, we're not going to judge those two guys the same. But when you're talking about bringing more to the ice than you're giving up, Sherratt's still in that same realm. So I just want to point out there's a lot of room for growth here in 5 of these 6 defensemen. No, maybe not growth. Growth, wrong word. Change. A lot of room for change. How's that?
I think it makes it easier for you to stomach a prospect getting called up, where you're not. I guess if you had a guy who was, 26, 27, 28, who you're paying a lot of money, you'd be like, well, this guy's going to get a roster spot because of how much we're paying him and what his age is. So based on, I'd say at least 3 of these guys, it'd be an easy transition to be like, well, it didn't really work out. We're going to let you go. The toughest one is Sherratt with his massive contract. I really hope that one pans out because that's a lot of years for a guy who's already 31.
And if anybody, I mean, you look just at like age on this roster right now. If there's going to be an injury, that's where I start to look first. So
it makes it easy to call these guys up. I think. Yeah.
All right. Now, Mike, do you want to put a guess out there who gave us the first list roster wise on YouTube?
If it wasn't Tristan, then give me Chewy.
It was
hey,
very nice, Tristan.
Yeah.
All right, now Tristan has some pretty. He targeted that 4th line just like we were talking, and I like it. And I want to use Tristan's proposal here to roll us into our next slide. Bertuzzi, Larkin, Raymond, Verana, Kopp, Zadina brings Perron down to the 3rd line. Kubelik, Velano, Perron, and Rasmussen.
I didn't know
Sundqvist.
Tristan moonlighted as a hockey agent for Zadina. Look at that, huh?
Look,
good for you, man.
I don't think it's that far out of the realm to see Zadina on that 2nd line, especially when we all have the narrative tied with Verana that Zadina does play a better game when he's on the ice with Verana. I don't hate it. I think there's a lot of conversation here to wrap Perron around less ice time, more power play. Like I'm sorry, less 5-on-5 time, more power play time. Like make sure that guy is on the ice when I think percentage wise he's going to have the best chance to put a puck in the back of the net. Give him some rest. Make sure they, like take advantage of it. We were just talking about age on Sherratt. I could back up a slide here so I can give you Perron, who's at 34 right now. So again, trying to keep guys. We're not trying to tire them out. We want to keep them healthy. It's another name to eye while we're going through these lists. Another thing I really like about Tristan's here, Suter on the fourth line. I think we've seen flashes of Suter being really productive and helpful as I'm going to say two-way center, but sometimes we know when you call someone a two-way center, what's attached with that is that they're just not very good.
Yeah, they're not really good at anything. They're average at most things.
On the offensive side, Suter has been able to make some plays, and if you can round these four lines out, like, man, if you can get the Velano that we see every time we drop him down to Grand Rapids, motherfucking goddamn it. Every time we see him in Grand Rapids for one night, he winds up with 6 goals and 5 assists. If you could see that and get 10% of that, and you put that on the third line, and you have Kubelik and Perron on either side of Velano, there's a lot of opportunity there. But I still think with this fourth line, and of course Tristan's getting Ernie out of there, which is easy call there. Not to say that, Tristan, you're not trying when I call it an easy call. I think we're all on board with that, right? We want to see that relationship end. There's a lot of things you can do with a Rasmussen Sundqvist fourth line. So I like this. This is definitely moving in the right direction. I do want to scroll down here. Chewy gives a nice lines, Tristan, grade here. I'm trying to find, of course, I got to call out. Eric's aboard. Hi, guys.
Thanks, Eric.
Charlie, as I'm scrolling down to find some more lines here to see if anybody else posted one. Zadina gets 20 goals. Ras breaks out for 45 points. I don't hate it. I would not be against that. Ketzel, our power play is going to be exciting for all 2 minutes for once. I think for the first time too, we're actually going to have some trouble putting this together. And of course, get Ernie the fuck out of there. I like it. Casey McIntyre has Verana, Larkin, Raymond. Casey?
Oh, I like where your head's Bertuzzi, Cop, Perron. I like that.
Casey, I'm a big fan of what you got so far. Mike threw out the second line. Third line, Fabry, Suter, Kubelik. Now, I was keeping Fabry off only because I'm not sure what he's listed on the IR, and I'm not sure what that looks like right now. But not a bad name to call out there regardless. And then Zadina Velano Sundqvist on the fourth line. Talk about the conversation we just had with the fourth line being able to be productive with Tristan's lineup. Casey's got another good one here that could. We've seen Zadina in the past. Like, we completely changed our view on Zadina. It was 2 seasons ago. We were like, you know what? We've got a lockdown winger here on the defensive side. We've got a guy that really knows how to shut somebody down. Put him on the fourth line. Velano also has that ability, and I think we know that we prefer Sundqvist to be. We're not counting on him for any goals, so we're all on board with that.
Yeah, I feel like the easy pickings are probably Sundqvist, geez, Pete, and Ernie, pulling those guys out. And yeah, Fabry is as much of a nightmare as it felt like he was on the first and second line, right? And it's just because maybe that's not his ideal role in the NHL. But could I get some goals and some effort on defense out of him on the third and fourth line with guys that are kind of at his level? I always like that analogy when you're playing tennis. I'd get smoked by somebody like, Serena Williams, obviously. But if I played somebody against my level, hey, I'm not so bad. I could get it over the net, a little bit. One of my serves, didn't immediately, I made it to the other side. So, I think Fabry playing against his peers, skill-wise on the other team, on the opponent, could really benefit that guy. The tough one for me is, God, I got to think, the Red Wings war room. They just cross their fingers, please. Let this be the year Zadina figures out. I think it's just still pie in the sky dreams until he actually starts putting them in the net. I hope. We just haven't seen it yet.
Now, we bring this up every now and then. I do want to call out Dan B. Fabry will be good for 10 games until his knee gives out. And then Ketzel throws out there, all right, let's get our 10 games, 16 points out of Fabry, and then trade him before he breaks again. So it's pretty harsh.
My theory with that is always like, as soon as you like start winning, guys get healthier, and I wouldn't be surprised if somehow that happened for Fabry. I'm not interested, of course, saying, nah, Fabry sucks defensively. He won't fit in anywhere when he comes back from injury. Unfortunately, I'd trade him. That's a tough trade because most of his value's here.
That's been a talking point for Fabry since we picked him up. Like we talk about two-way forwards so far today. I mean, if there's a one-way forward on this roster and the analytics show it and his production shows it, and when he's on the ice, like this is something where for Fabry, it's like the goals for, the goals against, the expected goals for, the expected goals against.
I know.
A pretty straight line.
I want to see what he does on the third or the fourth line, which is probably his speed. And he's doing something right to seduce Yzerman and his historically stingy management of the cap sheet into giving him a multi-year deal.
Yeah, and I think if you're managing him, like that's another thing. You put a guy on the third and fourth line. You as a coach that's putting lines out there, it's not the same decision of like, I need to put my first line, and I'm just going to say Mo Sider, out there so that I can get a goal. It's being more strategic with when those guys are on the ice. And I'm talking about the bottom six. If you want to say with this lineup, definitely more last year. But if, last year we were talking about the bottom nine, but the bottom six, and you have him in that realm, you're managing him a little bit better. You can figure out what's going to go on defensively and have him out there, or figure out what's going to happen defensively with the rest of your forwards, get them out there in position to, be on the right side of the ice. Yeah, I'll just put it that way.
I'm an advocate for Fabry because I feel like I get what Yzerman's trying to do with them. Like if it's, a Tuesday game and, middle of February, I feel like I'm going to get something out of Fabry as long as he's not injured. And especially now that he's, further down the pecking order, I think now that he's playing against his peers a little bit, I think it'll be easier for him to stand out. So I wouldn't give up on him too quickly, especially because his trade value is going to be in the toilet with all the injuries. I think it's going to be up to him, kind of like Zadina, to rehab his image and value.
All right, I'm looking at CapFriendly now. We still don't have an update on Fabry from CapFriendly because they've still got listed his out for season from last year. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah, I do have that slide up. Pissick also hasn't been updated, and Jake Wellman is an unknown. So that's the slide we have up right now for podcast listeners. Basically calling out, we have added Velano, who's listed as a healthy scratch on CapFriendly, Austin Charnick, and Robert Hagg, another left side defenseman for anybody who's not familiar. Big boy, 6'2", 204 pounds, and only 27. So right in that realm where if we're going to get a good year out of Robert Hagg, you're in it. This is the best year right now.
I was just a little bit disappointed in our listeners' line projections that there weren't any Pontus lineups out there. I thought we'd get one with Berggren, but I don't know if people are just being more pragmatic. But
I think that's a good time as any to transition to our next couple of slides here. So listed on the minors, not technically on the team according to CapFriendly. I think this is like when you turn in your end of the year stuff. This is where guys are sitting. Giovanni Smith, Matt Luff, Taro Hirose, who got a new contract, Kyle Crasillo, Chase Pearson, Jonatan Berggren, and Pontus Andreasen. Going to round out your forwards there. Stephen Kampfer, Jared Isaac, Seth Barton, Wyatt Newpower on defense. And unless there's an injury, I don't think we need to worry about this. But UC, Ola Kunyora, and Victor Bratstrom are your tendies. Mike, there's some big names missing from this list. So again, this isn't necessarily guys who have their ELC signed, because we know there's a few more guys that are technically loaned out at this point until the new season starts. And then we'll get some better chances here. But Mike, from this list you just called out, Berggren, Pontus.
Yeah, I think if you're doing ideal lineups, you want them to really, knock your socks off. In Traverse City and camp preseason, and then you're just like, well, Ernie, I appreciate the effort, but we're bringing the kids in. So I think that's best case scenario. But I know that usually this team, outside of Sider and Lucas Raymond, of course, we kind of like to take the slow burn. So I would be surprised if it was another year in the minors for those guys.
All right, guys, forgive me. We're going to take another quick break because we got some money to make. College football is back, and it's time to enjoy the tradition, the fun, and the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. To celebrate the best time of the year, right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets instantly, win or lose. If that's not enough action, you can also place a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. Just combine multiple bets into one, like which team will get the win, which team will score first, and more. Of course, I'm all about Michigan State, so I'll be keeping an eye over in East Lansing. I can't help myself, but I know I will be safe and secure and reliable going with DraftKings while I keep an eye on Michigan State and, dabble here and there. Best of all, I can deposit and withdraw my cash whenever I want because I'm working with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $5 on college football and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and up in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for terms and resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Tennessee or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. For new customer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued at $25 free bets. DraftKings.com.
I saw some go blue, go green in there.
Could you guys tell I was reading that at the end on the disclaimer?
Every word, yes.
HOP.
You nailed it, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go back to this list.
All right. So, Mike, you call out Berggren, you call out Andreasen, and you could say, yeah, of course, make the team over Adam Ernie. Do you really want Berggren, who absolutely destroyed in the AHL last season, burning a season away on the fourth line?
The reason that stuff kind of freaks me out a little bit when you see guys lingering in the minors for a while, it's like we knew that Raymond and Mo, we had a pretty good idea. These guys, I think they got it. They get it, right? These guys know how to be NHLers. So it's it worries me that they see something and be like, oh, this is going to be like not single A, not double A, not triple A, but a 4A player and maybe not an NHL player. That's what makes me a little bit nervous, is that they've seen something maybe they're waiting for one extra spark for him to really set himself apart and prove he's an NHL player, not just a very, very, very good minor league player.
All right. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to
please make me feel better.
I'm going to pull up Jim Johnson in a second here. And I wanted to pull up our forward.
The legendary WWE music composer?
Yes, he's here.
Welcome back, Jim Johnson. Yeah.
Berggren makes it to the third line. If these lines stayed the way they were, I think there's a very easy spot just to off Berggren in, considering one of these guys is not like the other, and he doesn't have his name signed at the bottom of a contract right now. You're looking for space. You're looking for a spot to fit one of those guys. It's a pretty easy one in my book right now, and it could be something too, like somebody said earlier in the chat. I wonder if I could find it real quick, but it was I'm sorry. There's so many comments here tonight. If you guys are having fun, just hit that like button for me real quick, because this is a good thing that it's so hard to find somebody's comment from earlier. But he was talking about Zadina being on a short prove it deal, which is true. I think that's best for Zadina too, because if they go long term right now, he's signing like a 4-year deal for like you know, you're talking bottom of the basement kind of numbers right now. You're talking there was a cool shirt I saw earlier today. Somebody wore to practice. I'm not sure if it was for the World Juniors because I didn't recognize the guy's face, but it just said league minimum on it was his t-shirt in practice. I want that t-shirt so bad. Anyways, yeah, Zadina wouldn't be doing himself any favors if he signed a long-term deal. So it's a mutual, right? Like that's the mutually beneficial for both sides. Zadina wants short-term because he thinks he can do better this year. Red Wings don't want to go long-term on a guy when they have the likes where we're excited. I don't know how excited they are, but they have the likes of Pontus, and we want to stuff in Berggren at some point because even though we're talking right now, third line seems pretty sure. Man, wouldn't it be crazy to see Berggren just go in, kill it, and take a spot from David Perron on this CapFriendly second line and just really jump in there and see what a guy who is super successful in Grand Rapids. Like, we're not talking about a game here, a game there. The guy ends up with a half a point per game, and we're like, well, it's the AHL. It's his first time in North America. No, Berggren's killing it. He's breaking Grand Rapids records. Okay, he's absolutely destroying, and he did it consistently for a full season. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think he started out slow.
Yes.
Or no, he had that injury from training camp last year that would have, of course, made it a little bit harder to get rolling. But once he did get a little bit more consistent, then it was easy peasy. Tristan, is TC for training camp or Traverse City? Jared, answer yes. I think right, that's their clever branding. They get to just throw in there Traverse City training camp. Oh, actually, Adam threw out there. Wait, the like button. Actually, could you guys give a thumbs up? I think right. That's how YouTube works.
We're old. We were thinking of Facebook. You called us out, Adam.
You guys hit that heart on your on the tweet that you're looking at. No,
if you guys could put us in your top 8 along with Tom, we would really appreciate it. I don't know.
If you guys could call in 97.1 the ticket text.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, that was really rolling the clock back. Okay, so I mean, on that list, I think we could come back, kind of just cross off those two names. In regards to trying to find a spot on there, do we want to officially say one of them's making it? Because I'm okay saying a Berggren's going to make it this year.
I just wonder, like, you and I and the people listening to the show, we're fine saying goodbye to Adam Ernie, but that would be Steve eating $2.1 million, just for the record. Not that, we can't afford it, but, it's a lot easier when we're not the ones signing the paychecks. So I don't know if that means, again, another contender that we looked at was Oscar Sundqvist, making even more money. So you'd be eating 2.75 mil. And I don't think that the trade value for either of those guys is very high. So, I mean, you'd be placing them on waivers.
I still think it's fine. You spread it out over a couple of years, and we'll be done with it soon. Like, once you start spreading that thing out, it doesn't hurt as bad. And then I don't know. We have the money to spend, so I'm okay with it. And the cap should go up. So I if you have no need for a bag of shit, you just flush it right down the toilet. But I mean, if you think they can help fertilize and help your young kids grow, keep that bag around. But ultimately, if you think that, if you talk about putting your compost together,
if you talk about a bag that I want to keep around, it's that 6'6" bag, Elmer Soderblom. Please let that guy make it.
Can CapFriendly get their shit together? 6'8" Elmer Soderblom, please. Jesus, tap dance. And Edvinsson 6'6". No, I think was how he.
How did
measured at the World Juniors.
Soderblom? He's become like Ben Wallace, where depending on if he's got the fro or not, he loses like 3 to 4 inches in height. Well, I feel like the forwards, it's we know who we want in there. The defenseman, I think it gets a little bit more interesting because it almost feels like a guarantee that some of these guys who are not listed on the CapFriendly depth chart are going to be starting like game one. I don't know if that you really want to jump right into Edvinsson, but I would be stunned and a little heartbroken if he didn't make it.
Yeah,
I would be a little terrified.
Boo Boo Tummy's going to be well beyond him at that point. No more diarrhea in the system. Let's get the trainers and the team chef feeding Edvinsson some good old Detroit conies, and let's get his tummy right. Let's get it in the right space. Tummy head space.
So like some names, Matt, besides Edvinsson, you're looking at Seth Barton, Sabrango, come on, Emil Vero, Albert Johansson, Tristan's boy, Wyatt Newpower, Robert Hogg, and then Jared McKissick. If at least 2 of those guys don't make the team opening night, I'm stunned.
Jared,
is Sabrango that big of a reach?
Someone get Edvinsson some burners. Jared,
get him a Detroit classic. Detroit. I like it, Jared.
Detroit comment of the night. I love it.
I want him to not just get a can of burners for his upset tummy. Get him a sponsorship. No? Okay, I was going to have him endorse burners.
Sorry, I was distracted. There's some good comments in here. Now, can Edvinsson be the first guy that gets an ad on his jersey? Is Edvinsson sponsored by Verner's? I'd be okay. He's
gonna be like Brock Lesnar with the Jimmy Johns.
With Jimmy Johns, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. I want it to happen for 2 reasons. One, it'd be adorable.
I really want Fabry to get an endorsement deal with like Heinz, so then he's got like yellow mustard on his jersey or something.
But I mean, I don't know. I thought I took
just
that
the mustard
in a horrible place because he's always getting hurt. I thought we were gonna cover him and ketchup and say
no.
I don't know.
No, that's a little grisly for our show.
Where were we at? All right. Jared throwing out there the Verner's thing. Oh God, there was a question I saw in here. I guess we can come to this one as I was trying to pick through a couple of different questions here. This one, anyone surprised Zadina not signed yet?
No.
I think it comes back to I'm going to say yes because we do have that mutually beneficial conversation that you think the Red Wings and Zadina are having of I want a short-term deal. And then when Zadina sees the numbers are out there, he's like, yeah, short's good. Let's do short because I'd like that to go up.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because they're extremely complicated negotiations. I feel like it's them really, really trying to sell you on those super duper deep cut analytics. Listen, I know the puck's not going in, but I expected them to go in. They just didn't, And I feel like both sides kind of want to protect themselves. Obviously, Zadina wants a little insurance that he's going to be around for a couple of years. And the Red Wings kind of want him to prove it. So if you had to tell me there's one player who's going to take a while to negotiate, probably be him.
I don't know. I'll give you that. I don't know. I don't want to go back and forth on it. I still feel I'm a little surprised because I thought they'd be a little bit closer. Tristan, going back to our last 2 lists here, throws out there Alexis Soderblom, Berggren, Johansson, Edvinsson, Vero. Even if they're not pre-training camp roster in our eyes right now, you're going to see them at
Tristan, give me those sweet nothings. More lists with Soderblom playing at the NHL level. That's what I want.
Mike, Elmer being loaned out, staying in Little Caesars Arena.
Dan, I don't dislike the idea, but that Piston squad is getting pretty stacked. I don't know if they have room for Soderblom anymore.
He still might be the shortest guy on the team at 6'8".
He could be.
That's a big team. Or wait, no, is Cade 6'7"?
The Pistons starting point guard is 6'6", where point guards used to come in at 6 foot. So
yeah, good old Lindsey Hunter days, right?
yeah, I mean Chris Paul. I mean the point guard himself is only 6 foot. So anyway, um, yeah, I get that we'll probably see a lot of those guys, doing cameos. I just if Edvinsson doesn't make the team, I think you're a little scared of this defense going into the season. I think that you feel pretty good about the first couple offensive lines for the Red Wings, 1, 2, and maybe 3, depending on the matchup. But defensively, it still kind of feels like cider in the pips. I don't feel a lot of confidence.
All right. I'm kind of gonna ask you the same question, but I'm gonna lead it in a different direction. But we've been pretty hard on the
Go ahead and lead the
UF
witness,
World
Your Honor.
Juniors,
Yeah.
and like we've said, don't get too excited about results from that. Don't get upset with Edvinsson or any of that fun stuff. If he doesn't make the team, is that more? I mean, it's more concerning, I think, because that means we're going through a training camp. We're hoping he doesn't have boo boo tummy. How are you? Are you going to be concerned at that point if we don't
I'm not.
see?
If he doesn't make the team, let me make it clear. It's not that I'm concerned about him. He's a very young guy, and it was a really unique experience to have Cider and Lucas make it as quickly as they did. So my concern is not about Edvinsson necessarily. It's more about this team. If it means we have to sit through a whole season, waiting for him and Berggren and Pontus, Albertson, all those guys, that tells me that this is probably going to be another year where we're on the cusp of making the playoffs instead of making the playoffs. So it just kind of bums me out more for like team performance rather than those guys' personal performances.
Yeah, and I'd agree. I think maybe I'm even asking like the wrong question.
Also, admire me for turning Albert Johansson into one name when I said Albertson.
I was gonna call.
I saw you let that go. I saw your eye kind of flutter a little bit, but I also.
You're speeding.
It brings me just a little joy to butcher name after name after name and just make you cringe over there. But go ahead.
Well, that's to that point. Ketzel thrown out there. He thinks there's going to be some injection. It's either Edvinsson or Johansson. Yeah, I think that's right where I'm at. I think where I wanted to wrap up this conversation was just kind of underline these guys again, going through this list of who. It should be for the defense a lot easier to pen in, especially with. I think didn't they make the claim too that they're going to go with 8 defensemen to start the season, which isn't like a huge comment. I mean, that happens all the time, but if we're talking 8 defensemen, I think there's certainly room with where everything stands right now and some of the injuries for Albert. And for me, I think for sure Simon's making the team. I don't know if he plays 82 games, and I'm not talking about injuries. I think it's fine if they give him a stint here and then send him back down to the AHL. I think that's fine, but I think he will start the season. And I you know what? I don't the title of this episode, pre-training camp. I think I know enough about Simon Edvinsson, and we've seen enough in the SHL. Even though we weren't thrilled with the juniors, I'm not letting that wasn't bad enough for me to say that he shouldn't be on this team over Jordan Osterley. So I'll just sum it up that way. Like some of this stuff we talk about Berggren, that's kind of like, wow, it'd be really great. But also if he doesn't make the team, I'm not super bummed.
Well, let's also think about.
I just think I can pen it. I want to pen it in. That's my hot take for the episode. Edvinsson penned in on that original list. Maybe I can back up here and again just kind of should be better than Osterley. Could definitely get into the second pairing. I think we upgraded, but I mean we're talking Olimata and Ben Sherratt. I mean, come on.
Yeah, like the scary thing for me is that when we look at that Red Wings depth chart, and if you want to muck around and maybe throw Zadina in the top 6 and move Perron down, I can get on board with that, right? Depending on performance. I don't see a scenario where our young guys are really in that top 6. But the scary thing for our defense is, my God, it's not that unbelievable for me to see Edvinsson and Mo as the top pairing, a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old, because it's still, I don't really have tons of confidence in, the offseason that we had defensively. I don't know if some people are in love with Sherratt or Ole. I don't know how you feel about, even Osterley and Lidstrom. They're they're fine. I don't think that they're playoff defensemen.
You said it right earlier. We're talking 4, maybe 5 question marks still with this defense. And if you want to talk question mark of a guy making a team, or if you want to talk a question mark of his placement on these 3 pairings we're looking at, still 5 question marks.
Yeah. So
water.
Yeah,
I mean, water to sponsor a show. Oh, we need like Liquid Death. I hear that on.
Actually, I guess I do kind of like canned water. I've been drinking that one out of the paper box too. But yeah, I got to think that's a consensus that our young forwards, they'd be peppered in on the 3rd or 4th line, but defensively, you could almost be a first pairing.
Can we just call out too? The consensus should be our comment that's up right now from Sam, that it's going to be a fun preseason from start to finish. I mean, absolutely, right? I mean. we get to have these conversations where we took this roster and talked about playoffs a couple weeks ago, and now we're sitting here going like, well, yeah, there's ways to upgrade this right now with the team you have, with the guys you have in the minors and who have signed ELCs. I ate a lot of cake.
I haven't been this excited to good choice of cake. Not just watch regular season hockey, to see, Christmas morning, all the new toys, what they look like playing together, but also to make that trip to Grand Rapids. Because I know that my boy Soldier Bloom is going to need a little time to, to grow and develop. I am very excited to go out there and do that.
All right, this is kind of funny. I'm trying to find a conversation here where this started, because I keep seeing like, good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm trying to find the original. Oh, Adam Thomas. Here it is. Albert makes the team and Edvinsson starts in Grand Rapids. Oh, man. Adam adds, I've been on the Johansson bandwagon for years.
Not the Albertson, whatever that is. Yeah.
He was dominant in the SHL for 2 years. He's smaller. His skating is just beautiful. That's how I imagine Adam was reading that in his head. Can we talk too about our own scouts have been all about Johansson, have been reminding us about him like every year. If it's not Hacken, then we're talking, and I might be saying Hacken's name wrong, but then we're talking Cronwall's super excited to go see him. One of the names that Lidstrom threw out when he became a part of the team again. There's a reason that those names get tossed out. It's not just to like ensure that the excitement's still burning. These guys are remembering their names. You know how many prospects we have out there, and these guys have to go see new people that aren't even on the team, but they remember the names, and they remember when they're talking about this team and our load of prospects, who to call out. And the lists aren't long when they call them out, but included in those lists all the time is Albert. I think there's a lot that goes into that. For me, every now and then getting to pick through YouTube and find highlights, we've tried to find the more in-depth highlights, so we're not just seeing somebody's goals. But everything I see from Albert is true with what Adam said. It's all about the skating. He's amazing at setting up. Even going down low and getting a little more aggressive as a defenseman is wonderful to see, and very different from, I think, what we usually get from our loaded defensemen. And I got to say, I like that hot take. I think it would be super cool, and I would not be bummed with that at all. Like that would still be super fun. Maybe it's one of those where you get your 9 games out of Edvinsson because he's still going to be a teenager when the season starts. I think that's the big thing I missed last year when I was talking about your
Let me
9-game stints. But
let me
yeah,
ask you a question.
Could be Al, and then maybe Edvinsson gets a shot. Go ahead.
To your knowledge, has Albert Johansson? Turns out it's 2 names, not 1. Has he exclusively played left side? And the only reason I ask is if
shot.
The quickest way for him to make this team, it feels like, is to do either side, because it feels like for the Red Wings, the first move they would make is probably sending Gustav down, if that's even possible, and Jordan Osterley, because he pretends to be a switch hitter, putting him on the right side, and then Albert on the left as a third pairing.
Well, we talked about it last year when we were trying to figure out how to get rid of Danny DeKeyser. Right. And how many guys play the wrong side in the league. And I think we found like 6 last season, even with like, and the one team, one of the guys was like playing because of a bunch of injuries. So it's not very often you're going to see those guys play the wrong side. So, and especially with a kid coming over, going from, arguably, different hockey game when you're going from Europe over to North America. So my first inclination isn't to move him to the wrong side, but I know what you mean. And we're stacked on the left side, but I also think there's still question marks on the left side. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay trying to find room for him on the left side still.
What was the COVID shortened season? Do you remember how many games they played?
Like 57, 64.
Was that 2020, 2021? The only reason I ask is I was just trying to get a feel for Mata.
2019, 2020. You remember how COVID worked? It
1920?
started in March.
No, I just asked because if you're saying it was like 50 games, so Mata in 2017-18 played all 82 games. And then after that, he played 60, 65, 41, and then 66 the past season with the Kings.
So you're penning him in on the injured reserve list.
My man. So he feels like a candidate to open up some left side defensemen.
Oh, Tristan throwing out there. Oh, and actually, first before that, Adam did say I gave a perfect impression of how he was thinking about our boy Mike Albert Johansson. Tristan did say Hawken, and I think I said Hacken. Anderson. Oh, look at this. Eric doubling down. Correct, Tristan. I like
what
that.
You guys don't know is Matt is from the Bronx. That's the hacking pronunciation. He's hacking. Yeah. Get a coffee. Anyway.
I figured it was just, the American accent coming in there. Okay. Guys, I think I'm ready to wrap up. I appreciate anybody that's new coming along. Hit us up with the old thumbs up on YouTube. If you guys are listening to the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Those Apple Podcasts reviews mean the world. We haven't gotten one in such a long time. If you have a minute, even if you guys are watching on YouTube right now, would mean the world to us. And special shout out right now to our sponsors, of course, DraftKings, and got to welcome aboard Raycon. Guys, everyone that's here right now has helped that happen for us to put another sponsor on this board. So thank you all for coming here. It's awesome. The show's going to keep growing, and we're going to keep putting out our shitty takes for you guys. But we'll see you guys next week. And as far as I know, the plan, once we get training camp rolling, we want to find some time to do this twice a week again. So keep an eye out. We'll just update you guys with the schedule, and we'll try to put out a schedule a little bit better for all the live viewers here, like we did today. You had 2 days to figure out your 8:30 start time, so I appreciate all you guys tuning in. It means the world. All right. We'll see you guys. Love y'all. Have a good one.
Peace.